Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm Emmanuel, I'm a former Boeing 737 pilot, and welcome to another flight in the Boeing 737 freighter. Today we are flying the beautiful Alaska Air Cargo livery by Arne Root, which I got from flightsim.to. Really a nice livery and some really nice operations with Alaska as well. They've got two 737 freighters, the registrations of which are both provided by Arne Root, and well, what can I say? You can just look up those routes on Flight Radar 24, which is exactly what I've done today for a flight from Seattle to Juneau, the Alaskan capital. They have a really nice approach over there, which I can't wait to show you. So I'd say without any further ado, we just go right into this. It's early morning here in Seattle and we can start setting up for a flight. And yes, handling by Phoenix Logistics is a thing over here. Alrighty, then let's get going. Now, yep, we can almost walk up the stairs once again. GSX is doing an awesome job. Okay, so here we are in our supernumerary area. I tend to say we will just walk straight up front and start setting our airplane up. Battery is coming on, external power is coming on, and well, since it is Seattle in winter time, chances are we are going to get up our APU pretty much straight away as well in order to get some air conditioning going. So let's turn on a fuel pump over here and then we can just turn on the APU straight away. Alright, in the meantime we'll finish up with our safety inspection, and you'll notice that the cargo fire panel also shows the main deck cargo compartment over here, since we are obviously flying a 737 freighter today. Now, with that out of the way, let's go ahead and finish up the procedures over here. Stick shaker test, probably not simulated just yet. So it is. Okay. So that's been added. Alrighty. So then let's put our coat into the hangar. Let's put the flight bags in here. You can already get out your high-vis for the walk around, and then I tend to say we are going to take a seat in our 737, getting it ready for today's service. So let's get started by reviewing our flight plan. So, electronic flight bag and request data from SimBrief. Alaska 7040 is going to be our flight on the 737-800. Looking into the route of flight and the significant weather chart, it's a fairly straightforward thing. We depart Seattle and then it's more or less a straight line all the way into the approach to Juneau. Over here we do have light turbulence forecast for pretty much the first hour and a half of our flight. Alright, it's just boxes. As long as they are well secured, that's not going to be any problem to us. Looking into the weather, things are getting a little bit more interesting over here. So Juneau shows us easterly winds and a couple of clouds, temperatures -9 degrees, QNH 2986, and the forecast says that it's going to remain that way pretty much all day long. ArtNet and Yakutat is quite alright as well. So there are a couple of interesting NOTAMs out there, most importantly for our destination airport Juneau. Quite a lot of taxiway closures over here, and we are recording this on 3rd of January, so this is pretty much exactly within our arrival time. So lots of taxiway closures here, and then going down into the runway NOTAMs, the VASI is unserviceable, which is going to affect us. And finally, for the approach procedures, the circling is not available at night, that's okay, but the LDA X-ray approach is not available, which is the primary approach that we would normally be using. So we'll have to fly the ANAF approach today. The problem with the ANAF approach is that the temperature limit is +1 degree Celsius, and we are far below that. So VNAV will not be available for guidance on the approach later on. That's just something you have in mind for the time being. Now, our flight times are looking good. We will be there just about on time. We are not critical with any of our weights, and Flight level 360 is the planned cruising level. That all looks fantastic. Now going down into the fuel section, we got 18.5 thousand pounds as our standard. I tend to say if we bring that up to 19, then we are absolutely good to go. So let's go down into the weight and balance, load from SimBrief, and then, why are you in kilos? Here we go, so 19,000 pounds. Alright, suppose I just quickly have to change the weight units over here, because this airplane is obviously flown in pounds. Alright, cool. So all that good stuff is done. Then by now the APU is available as well, so let's get on some air conditioning. And then let's go ahead and start to prepare for today's service. So I am, as always, using my full WinWing gear over here with the entire MCP, the EFIS control panels, and the MCDU, which I will all be using for today's flight. Now we're going to start this one with the light test, which is looking fantastic over here. Those all seem to work perfectly. Then we also gotta check those over here. Alright, oxygen test. Is looking good and no variations. Then traffic, airports, and terrain, and that on both sides. Looking good. We can already switch over into inches over here on our altimeters, and well, then let's go ahead and initialize our FMC data link ATS. Let's see, we've got Kilo Sierra Echo Alpha. We can request that and see what kind of weather we are going to get over here. Just done that on the right hand side accidentally. Looks like I actually assigned my WinWing CDU to the right hand side from my last flight, but you can easily change that in the Sim App Pro. So that's just what I'm doing, plugging it off and on again. And here we go. Now it should be controlling the left hand side. Well, let's see. Yep, it is. Okay, beautiful. So that lovely stuff is done. Then we are just going to wait for that stuff to arrive. In the meantime, let's turn on the hydraulic pump. Let's make sure that all the lights are on. And here we go. There is our ATIS information. Mike 1607, 12 degrees, 2951. Alright, so let's set that. 2951. Once, twice, and then we got 400 feet of elevation here, so we are going to set the MFRA to 1400. Almost, and here we are. Okay, cool. Then just copy and paste to the right hand side, and here we go. Beautiful. Now with all of that done, let's go ahead and open up the cargo door so that we can actually start loading our aircraft. So it looks like some containers are already on board, but I want to get that done. So let's first of all unlock the door. Ready to open, and open to canopy position. And with that in progress, let's go over to GSX and request boarding already. And yeah, I'm not 100% sure as to why those... Why the... do you... Where's the flight attendant coming from? Freighter, ever heard of that, GSX? Now the big question, why is it not opening the door? I did turn the hydraulics on, did I? I did, but we're still getting low pressure on both sides. Okay, that's interesting. That's because the hydraulic system is empty. Alright, that makes sense. I mean, don't ask me why, but anyway. So, refill hydraulic fluid, and then let's also check the engine oil, which is full. Okay. Well then, now that we should have hydraulic pressure available, yep, we do, let's try that again. No, GSX, no, what are you doing? Reset position. What the holy F? Alright, here we go. Now the cargo door is opening. So GSX apparently did not recognize the airplane as a freighter at all. Beautiful job. Absolutely beautiful job. So, operate the stairs please, and then I suppose we'll have to miss out. Okay, here we go. We'll keep the door in the canopy position so that it... No comment on the aft stairs. We'll keep the door in the canopy position so that it shields everyone over here from a bit of rain. Okay. Well then, let's assume that loading is on our way now, and then we can go ahead and... What the fuck did GSX do now again? Oh, load. Okay, here we go. We'll keep it exactly like that. No further input over here, GSX. No input. Okay, well, then let's go ahead and start on our flight. Enter IRS position. Yeah, we will do that. So, FMC 737-800, BCF, 26K rating, nav database is up to date. For the position in it, we'll copy and paste the GPS position. Now, for the flight plan, I am probably going to make it easy and just type it myself, because that's just going to be faster than if we waited for all the uplink stuff to arrive. So, departing 16 left, Bangor 9 departure towards Pangle. Then we'll fly direct to Kevnar, direct to Alpha... Oh, did I... Kevnar. Okay, here we go. Alpha November November and Sierra Sierra Romeo. Okay, for the arrival we'll choose the RNAV approach to runway 08. Let's see which chart that is going to be. RNAV Victor. Okay, so we'll select the RNAV Victor and Sierra Sierra Romeo transition. And then we can start by checking our SIT. So, Bangor 9 RNAV departure is straight at to 932, then towards Calab, Renby above 3000, Richer, Tomry, and then to Bangor above 10,000 and to Pangle. Alright, from Bangor transition, maintain assigned altitude, top altitude to be assigned by air traffic control, and, well, I'd say MSA wise, we just don't fly to the left of the center line, and then we are good. Okay, perfect, then we can continue with our performance. So cost index is 15, reserve fuel 4.2 plus 2.2, 6.4. Like that. Zero fuel weight 122.7, flight level 360, optimum 386, so probably 380 in the end. That's fine. Winds 198 at 34. Temperature up there minus 52, and the transition altitude 18,001. Alright, we can leave all of that stuff. The runway is going to be wet, and we'll do noise abatement procedure number 2, so acceleration in 1000. Alright, climb page 250 below 10,000, fixed page, we'll take Seattle with a 25-mile ring. And that's it. Alright, so our FMC is prepared. Then let's put the tablet away again and start with our cockpit preparation, which is the easy and quick thing that we can do over here. So all that stuff's done. Fasten seatbelt sign is not needed yet. The window heat comes on. Up here everything is set. Cruising level we'll set 360 for the time being. Destination field elevation. Well, we don't have runway waypoints, so I do believe that it is at sea level, but let's see. Yeah, 25 feet. But I'm going to set 50 up here. Okay, so flight director switches are coming on. Initial, probably going to be about 5,000 or so. Runway heading 16.5 seems quite accurate. And we don't theoretically need anything in the courses, so I'll just set the runway heading here. 164. Set once and set twice. Auto brake RTO, fuel flow reset. QNH is set, leading us right down here. Parking brake is set. Frequencies we'll look at now. So Banger 9 is pinned, and then we can get the airport and airport info chart. And we got Seattle clearance 1280. And we'll probably get the next frequency from them, we'll see about it. Alright, cool, so that's that. Now, do we have any... Yeah, Seattle VOR 16.8. So let's go ahead and tune that. Not required, but I do believe it is good practice just to have something. Okay, TCAS into a buff and should be on standby. 1 to 1.5 for the second radio. And then we'll also tune 16.8. Alright, and that's it. Cool, so we're done with the setup down here. So I suggest we'll just go on and collect our IFR clearance up next already. So which ATIS did we have? Information Mike. So for our ATC, we will be using Say Intentions AI today, which is just super reliable, and I just like it. I honestly do. And they're also a sponsor of this channel, but I do like them anyway. Alright, cool. So let's go ahead and give them a call. Seattle clearance, Alaska 7040, information Mike, request IFR clearance.
You're number 1.
Alright. So while we're waiting...
7040. You still have an open flight plan. Please be sure to close that one first by the flight button.
Okay. Then let's just do that real quick. Seattle delivery, Alaska 7040, information Mike, request IFR clearance to Juneau. I just said it is reliable. It is, if you operate it correctly. I didn't. I still had it open from the previous session. That's fine though. I can live with that.
Via the Banger 9er departure, then as filed. Climb and maintain 6,000. Expect flight level 36010 minutes after departure. Departure on 120.4 squawk 4735. Expect runway 16 left.
Alaska 7040 is cleared to Juneau via the Banger 9 departure. Then flight plan route, climb 6,000, 360, 10 minutes after departure 1204, squawk 4735.
Pushback, correct.
Alright, we got 16 left, Banger 9 departure, initial climb 6000, which is set, 360, 10 minutes after departure, 120.4, squawk 4735. Okay, beautiful. Then all of that stuff is in here, clearance is cross-checked, and 6000 is the initial, so let's just insert that down here at Richa. Okay, I just talked about setting the app up correctly, and obviously for flying a freighter, that includes disabling the cabin crew. Alright, cool. So that stuff is now done, then let's go into the departure briefing. Threats for today's departure? To be honest, I do not see any. Well then, let's go for the route check. So we're going from Kilo Sierra Echo Alpha to Papa Alpha Juliet November, Alpha Sierra Alpha 7040. Our routing is via the Banger 9 to Pangle, direct Kavna, direct Alpha November November, direct Sierra Romeo Romeo. Ground distance 389 versus 839 versus 843. That's close enough. 8.9 remaining and 6.4 required, giving us roughly, what's that, 15 minutes extra. Alright, the time UTC is 1656, altimeter 2951, reading 400, I'm afraid 1400. Flight directors are on minus the master and the standby instruments are set. Left seat takeoff, 16 left, flaps 5, noise 2, and no specials for the emergencies. Above 80 knots, I'll only reject for fire warning, engine failure, predictive wind chill warning, or if the aircraft is unable or unsafe to fly. If I call stop, I will simultaneously close the thrust levers and disengage the auto throttle, apply max manual braking, verify operation of the RTO auto brakes. Manually raise the speed brake lever and apply maximum reverse thrust. When the aircraft comes to stop, I will set the parking brake. Alright. If you call stop, I'll note the brake down speed and call speed brakes up or speed brakes not up and thrust with normal indications. I'll call 100 knots, 80 knots, 6 knots and the runway distance remaining. Verify your actions, call in emissions, I call auto brake disarm, and select flaps 40 when the parking brake has been set and advise ATC of the reject. We will then identify any failures and carry out any drills as appropriate. If we decide to evacuate the aircraft, do the evacuation checklist. Time permitting, we'll pull the CVRCB, you grab the load sheet, and then we get out. If the call before we want to keep going, there will be no actions below 400 feet except to cancel any warnings and raise the landing over the positive rate. At 400 feet, verify heading select, carry out the memory items at the MFRA, buck up, retract flaps on schedule. Flaps up, no light, select level change, max continuous thrust, engage the automatics, non-normal checklist, normal checklist, PIOC units, PA, and then we probably come back. Alright, taxi is a pushback with a nose either to the right hand side or just directly onto the taxiway, which could happen as well. For our... what is it doing here? Main cargo, okay, that's fine. Alright, for our departure, we got the Banger 9 departure, which is located on a chart... Where's the identifier? Here we go, chart 20-3, effective 26th of December. Straight at Ramby above 3000, right turn out, 2200 the MSA, and 3400 in the arrival sector. And that's it. Any questions? No? Okay, then let's go ahead and close up. So, they already closed the doors, and, well, might have been a bit too early. Alright, cargo door is still open. So, arm and close. Alright, here we go, closed, then let's lock it. Hold it in the lock position until the lock light comes on. Like that, cargo door is closed. Very quick check into the cargo compartment. That seems to be looking good. Okay, cool, then we can close the doors. And put down the straps. Here we go. Okay, cool. It's 1700, that's our scheduled departure time. The only question now is why the GSX tuck is not connecting. And I probably don't even want to know. I don't know, man. Are they still thinking that some aft door is open? I do believe they had that bug earlier. Annoying piece of software. Well, certainly everything shows closed over here. So yeah, I don't know. Let's reset GSX once again. Such an annoying piece of software, isn't it? Okay, so let's try that one more time. You can do it. Come on. So, prepare for pushback and departure. Let's see what's gonna happen this time. We're a minute late now. Okay, while GSX is doing its stuff, let's go ahead and start with our performance. So the zero fuel weight is 122.7, which matches what we've got. 141.6 versus 141.7. That is close enough. Then we can check our performance from Seattle's runway 16 left. The runway is most definitely wet. And we got 141,700 pounds, of course. Alright, center of gravity is 25. Like that, and yeah, I am lazy, I'm just gonna import the weather. QNH 2955 now. Set and set. Okay, cool. So calculate. Takeoff 241. Alright, 87.8, flaps 5 takeoff, and the CG 25. Trim 5.14 matches the other side as well. And the takeoff speed's 27, 35, 39. And that's exactly what we got down here. And 139. Alright, cool. Then our performance is done. So let's do the safety inspection checklist and before start checklist down to the line, please. Surfaces and shocks checked, maintenance status checked, batteries on, electric hydraulic pumps on, landing gear lever down, ship's library checked, iris mode selectors, nav, gear pins 1, 2, 3 removed, probe covers 1 and 3, 4, 5 removed, light test checked, oxygen test 100%, yaw damper on, nav transfer and display switches normal and auto, fuel 18.5 required, 19 on board, 4 pumps on, cabin utility IV galley power on, emergency exit lights on, fasten belts on, window heat on, aircon press, pack auto bleeds on set, press mode selector auto, instruments cross-checked, auto brakes RTO, hydraulics normal, speed brakes, down return, parking brake set, stop and cutter switches normal, wheel fire warning checked, radius radar and transponder set and standby, radar and aileron trims 3 and 0, takeoff briefing disgusting, PA complete, FMC CDU, well, let's see, we are on the ground power. FMC CDU set, Edmund and ES box, automatic, reduced 22k, speeds 273539 set, stop trim 5.1 set, performance weight and balance, sign send, phones off, EFB, airplane mode stowed, flutter windows and cockpit door locked, doors closed, passengers seated, before start checklist complete. And GSX is only now starting the setup? Oh god. Alright, so let's go ahead and contact ground, 21.7. Seattle ground, Alaska 7040, request pushback and startup.
Pushback and startup approved. Tail south.
Pushback and startup approved. Tail south. Alaska 7040. Okay, so that's gonna be pushback probably all the way onto the taxiway over there.
Alaska 402. Push and start approved.
Before start checklist below the line. Air complex off, anti-collision light on, parking brake set, transponder out off. Before start checklist complete. Alright, so you should hopefully be ready any moment. So then let's hope that we got a good profile over here. I did download one for the airport. You're too late for your scheduled departure time. Well, guess why that is. Alright, here we go. Continue pushback. And that's gonna be tail right, I guess. Let's do tail right, see what's gonna happen. Alright, parking brake is released, you clear the pushback, and we're waiting for your signal to start the engines. And let's get the heads-up display down. That's one of the things I like about flying in the US. They just have nice pieces of technology in their aircraft. If anyone knows why airlines in the United States are using the heads-up displays so often, then do let me know in the comments below. I would really be interested in that. Is it just because they've got so many former military airmen? I could kinda imagine that. That all those former militaries are just saying like, yeah, you give me a HUD or I'm not flying. Could very well be. Just a nice tool, isn't it?
Runway 16 left taxi via Bravo, Charlie.
Let's also slightly adjust the MFRA here. Let's make it 14 and 40. And copied over to the other side. That's one of the nice features of the control panel switch over there. If your colleague has already set his data, you can just go both on that side, then back to normal, and then you've just copy and pasted his EFIS control panel settings. Alright, so the pushback should probably take us here. I hope. Kind of worried that she stopped walking. Okay, no comment. Can we still change the direction? No. Okay. Alright, then we have to do 180. GSX. Engine 2 start. So, parking brake is set. I suppose it was worth the attempt. And 2, all pressure, and 1. Start a cutout, monitor 2, starting 1. And 2. All pressure, and 1.
Jazz 803, runway 16 left taxi via Whiskey November Bravo, Charlie. Runway 16 left taxi via Whiskey November Bravo.
Config light comes on because there's more than 1,000 pounds of fuel in the center tank, but I'm going to keep it off anyway. Up to about 2,000. Alright, start a cutout. Clear signal is received. And flaps 5, please. So, flight control track. Full up. Full down. Neutral. Full left. Full right. Neutral. Rudder. full left, full right, and neutral before taxi checklist. Generators on, APU off, start switches continuous, ProPeat auto, engine anti-ice on. Air conditioning, PEX auto bleeds on, isolation off, auto, flaps, 5 required, 5 selected, and the green light. Stop trim 5.1 set, start wheel was idly 10, flight controls checked, recall checked, before taxi checklist complete. Alaska 7040, request taxi. Did we actually calculate performance with engine anti-ice on?
Alaska 7040, runway 16 left, taxi via Alpha Charlie.
16 left via Alpha and Charlie, Alaska 7040. Okay, just a quick check over here. 40 degrees now, 31, 34, 39. Let's just do that over here real quick.
Runway 16 left, taxi via November Bravo, Charlie, Alaska 477.
Alright, rest unchanged is good. Cool, so 16 left, Alpha and Charlie. Alpha and Charlie. Alright, easy. Now make clear on the left hand side, clear on the right hand side. Config.
Hawaiian 21 ready to push. Hawaiian 21, pushback. Roger, pushback approved. Hawaiian 21.
Welcome to the world of aviation wipers. That's just about as annoying as they sound. Okay, cool. So we'll go out to the left and then on to Charlie. And then it looks like we're getting into a long queue of Embraers waiting to take off. Okay, before takeoff checklist down to the line, please. Config. Checked. Flaps 5, green light. Stop trim 5.1 set. Takeoff briefing. Left seat takeoff 16 left. Flaps 5, noise abatement 2. Speeds 31, 35, 39 set. And we'll do PEX auto bleeds on, engine anti-ice on. The sit straight ahead, right hand turn. There is an initial 3000 restriction and we're climbing to 6000, and we've got nothing special, nothing non-standard. Engine out, sit straight at 25 miles, climbing 3000. The MSA in that sector is 2200. If we need to come back, 16 is the active landing direction. We're going to go for 16 left, since that is the longest runway available. We are, I do believe, slightly above the max landing weight. No, actually below the max landing weight, so that's not going to be any problem. Alright, and that's it. Any questions or suggestions? No? Perfect. The cabin is secure, and that's the before takeoff checklist complete down to the line. Then let's get into position behind that Embraer there. 119.9 Alaska 7040 Solar. Seattle Tower, Alaska 7040, ready in sequence. Alaska 7040, ready for departure. So, the Embraer head is already lining up. Yep, that's what we'll do. Okay, so after lineup we will just take a moment to look at the weather radar to see how that's gonna go. So the Embraer is going, then our departure frequency 120.4 can be pre-selected. Cool. And the Embraer is going. Perfect. While we're holding short, I'm gonna turn off.
2463, contact departure, safe travels.
I'm gonna turn off the taxi lights.
Ryzen Air 2463. Seattle Tower, Alaska 210, established on the ILS runway 16 right.
Man, it is busy over here.
7040, runway 16 left with 150 at 8. RNAV Kebab cleared for takeoff.
Enough kebab, runway 16 left, clear takeoff, Alaska 7040. Alright, cool, are you ready? Okay, before takeoff checklist below the line, MCP, set, transponder, Tara, strobe lights on, landing lights on, before takeoff checklist complete. Okay, weather radar is looking good, ready? Take off. Stabilized. Set takeoff thrust. Takeoff thrust set, indications normal. Checked. You're up. LNAV. Back up.
7040, contact departure.
Over to departure, Alaska 7040. Flaps 1. Speed check, flaps 1. Seattle departure, Alaska 7040, passing 2300, climbing 6000. Flaps up. Speed checked, flaps up.
Alaska 7040, Seattle approach radar contact, climb and maintain 6000, turn right heading 295, vector to Bangor, then on course.
Climb and maintain 6000, right heading 295, Alaska 7040. Heading select. And flaps up and left. VNAV. Command A. Right, flaps up and left.
Climb and maintain flight level 210.
Climb maintain level 210, Alaska 7040. Set 210 checks. Okay, then let's already go ahead and turn the center pumps on. And off the takeoff checklist. Air condition and pressurization. 2.6, climbing, set. Altimeters, 29905, passing 6.4 now. Checked. After takeoff checklist complete. So, that weather is actually looking quite okay. Even though I'd probably prefer heading 310-ish, just to get around. No, actually it looks okay. We'll keep going on this track and see how that's gonna turn out. And the right side can go in the weather as well. Terrain doesn't seem to be much of a problem here. Okay, cool. So we are up and on our way. Let's see what the arrival says. ETA 1919 and the schedule is 1937. Oh, beautiful. Alright, engine anti-ice off. And then we got altimeters, passing 10.4, climbing 210, 10 checks. Fuel is balanced with 6 pumps on. Lights off, APU off, air compressed, 4.0, climbing and set. Fasten belts auto. Recall checked and monitoring 21.5. No CPDLC in the States, so that's our 10 checks completed. Well then, my friends.
Climb and maintain flight level 280.
Climb and maintain level 280, Alaska 7040. Set, 280 checked, VNAV. Alright, perfect. So that's that. We are going to continue on that heading for a little longer until we're eventually clear of those build-ups on the left there. And then I'd say sit back, relax, and enjoy the flight with us. And I see you all when we start our arrival into the Alaskan capital of Juneau. Approaching Juneau, and we got a pretty interesting arrival ahead of ourselves. So let's go right into this. We are expecting the on-off approach to runway 8 over in Juneau, and we have already set all of that stuff up. But let's go ahead and start by getting you guys into the loop by having a look at the weather. So the ATIS for Juneau is telling us we've got a wind of 070 at 4, visibility more than 10 miles, clouds few in 2500, scattered 5000, broken 10,000. The temperature is -9 and the altimeter 2964, which we've already set once, twice, and 3 times. Now, what this means is, when we do have a look at the approach chart, LDA is not going to be available, so let's find the on-off approach chart. Here we go, on-off, runway 8. And looking down here, cold temperature altitude correction required at or below 1 degree. In other words, we are not going to be able to use VNAV for this arrival, but we have to use vertical speed mode instead. Now, this would all be easy, provided that the approach chart would actually have some check altitudes on it, which it doesn't. So yeah, we kind of have to calculate those ourselves and write them down. And on top of that, we got to do the entire cold temperature correction. So let's actually start with that. The field elevation is 25 feet and the MSA around Molre is 8,400 feet. So that means we got 8,400 feet that we need to correct. Now, if we have a look at the cold temperature correction chart, that one only goes to about 4,000 feet. Temperature -10 is 390 feet extra, so we can double that, making it 800 feet, plus another 400, which is another 40, so we got 8,840 feet that we need to add to the minimum. So the new minimum becomes 9,240. Any altitude below that needs correction. So looking into the approach then, we've got Sierra Sierra Romeo. From there we proceed towards Nimley, and Nimley has an altitude of 3,400 feet or higher. That's 3,400 above the ground, so we add basically 340 feet, roughly. If you do the exact numbers, you'll get to 3,000... Actually, is that right? Yeah, 3,690 according to the chart that you will find here. So there's a cold temperature correction table included in the airport charts as well. So taking that, 300 feet.
40, contact anchorage approach on 133.90.
What's the frequency again? 133.90, Alaska 7040. Approach Alaska 7040, passing 15,200, descending 8,000, inbound Sierra Sierra Romeo.
Anchorage approach. Good morning, Juneau. Altimeter 2965. Expecting RNAV Juliet runway 8 approaching to Juneau.
Altimeter 2965, expecting the RNAV approach into runway 8 in Juneau, Alaska 7040. Okay, so set QNH. 2965 cross check, passing 14.3 now.
Maintain 7,000 feet.
Descend and maintain 7,000 feet, Alaska 7040. Alright, cool. So we got that first part of the approach. Minus 10 degrees, and we are...
40, maintain 7,000 feet.
Yeah, whatever. Okay, so 3690, which should actually be, well, 290 plus 30, so 330 on top. 360 is the minimum. No, 3,400. Where's the no pinned approach chart there? Alright, so that one actually becomes 3,720. Something like that. Alright, then from there on we got Ogima, which is also above 3,400, which also becomes 3,720. And then we are going to proceed towards Menai. Now, Menai is in 2,700 feet, needs temperature correction, and that is going to become 2,000, so 200 feet on top, plus 70.
7040 descended, maintain 8,000 feet. Turn right heading 325 vectors for the RNAV runway 8 approach.
Alaska 7040, descend and maintain 8,000, right heading 325, vectors RNAV runway 8. Alright, then let's put Nimley on top, like that, to get a little better vertical profile here. Okay, cool. So we are a little high now. Speed brake's coming out. So the important thing here is that our descent starts in 2,970. You can see I created a waypoint 2 miles prior to Menai, where I am going to level the airplane off so that we can start our vertical speed approach. Now, for the approach itself, we've got threats, QNH blunder error, which we are well aware of. We've already gotten our QNH from the approach, and that was similar enough to the QNH that we had anticipated from the Asus, so we are okay with that. Now for our FMS, we got 250 below 10,000, forecast pages in, fixed rings from 8, 10 miles and 6 miles, which I'm going to use for the gear extension, and the approach then starts at Menai in basically 3,000. We are going to do the vertical speed approach here, starting with flaps 5 by the descent point, vertical speed over the FAF minus 1,000 feet a minute to intercept the vertical profile, and we've got nothing special or non-standard here. The corrected minimum becomes 2,068 feet. And for the go-around, we are going to proceed with a left turn from Mulry towards Mux, and then on track 281 to chill to hold, climbing 9,000. 9,000 is, well, below the corrected MSA, but I'm kind of happy with that. Right, we're about to reach 8,000. What I'm going to do is that speed into a vent and 210 until they clear us for further descent. Engine anti-ice on. Tie-tie. Alright, cool. So all that good stuff is done. Well then, vertical speed minus 400 to try and make it a continuous descent over here. Alright, well that's pretty much it for the approach. Now, let's quickly talk about the airport. We're landing with 9.2 and the minimum is 6.4. That gives us, yeah, some 25 minutes extra over here. Burning 400 pounds, landing weight 132 basically. I will be using flaps 30 for this one, auto brakes 1. And that is because of all the NOTAMs we got. So, looking into the airport itself.
40, turn left heading 295.
Left heading 295, Alaska 7040. Alaska 7040, request further descent. So,
740, descend and maintain 7,000 feet.
descend and maintain 7,000 feet, Alaska 7040. Vertical speed. Okay, so,
40, maintain 7,000 feet.
yeah, that's what we're doing. Weather is no problem, let's go over to terrain. Now, one last thing that we need to talk about, and that's the NOTAMs for our arrival airport, because there is quite some stuff in here. So, Juneau. As you can see over here, taxiways Bravo 1, Delta, Echo, Foxtrot and Hotel 1 closed. That means Bravo 1, Delta, Echo, Foxtrot, and also the 1 taxiways here, closed. So we've got to vacate the runway at the end. And then we have another one, which is valid just today again. So, Alpha Bravo, Bravo 2, Charlie, blah 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 blah. Lots of taxiways. Dry snow over compacted snow, sanded, braking action poor. In other words, we gotta be very careful when taxiing the airplane. Parking will be over here, stand 14, and that's it. Any questions? No? Alright, then that's our approach briefing completed. Hold on, let's go for the descent checklist, please. Pressurization, land out 50, anti-ice on. Approach briefing fuel discussed, ES and outbox checked and almost set. Just gotta set the minimum on the right side. Checked and set. Approach briefing, well, descent checklist complete, that way around.
740, turn right heading 345.
Right heading 345, Alaska 7040. So they're keeping us pretty high over here. Alaska 7040, request further descent.
Alaska 7040, descend and maintain 4500 feet.
Descend and maintain 4,500, Alaska 7040. Set, 4,500 checked, level change, and you go to idle, speed brake comes out. Right, let's update that direct to Mimble, please. See what we're gonna get. Yeah, a little bit above the profile, that's okay. Not much we can do about it at this time. Speed is already down at 210, but the FMC is already in approach logic. Can see that. Well, actually, no, it isn't anymore. So, that's good. Speed brakes up. Previously, it targeted 203 knots for the flaps. That tells you that it is on approach logic. But now that I've re-entered the slower speed that we're actually flying already, it actually tells us that we're back on profile again, so that's okay. Nonetheless, I will keep it at level change here and not go to VNAV, even though we are slightly indicating below the profile, because I'd rather be a little bit below the profile when flying the vertical speed approach. The reason for that being that you need to be in altitude hold 2 miles prior to the final approach fix when you actually want to start the approach. Okay, so let's go for the first check. Frequencies not applicable. Fixed rings, runway 8, 10 miles, 6 miles. Items not applicable. Stamper instruments set. And courses. What are they supposed to be? 070.
41.5 miles from Steka. Turn right heading 360. Descend and maintain 3500 feet until established. Cleared for the RNAV runway 8 approach.
Descending 3,500, cleared RNAV from 8, Alaska 7040. Yeah, we'll ignore that Saka part, we'll go direct to Ogimi. LNAV. ATC mentions a different waypoint here because they want us on the RNAV Juliet, I believe. Unfortunately, same intentions right now doesn't really support changing the approach that ATC assigned, so that's why we are using a slightly different approach, because we only have the charts for the RNAV Victor. Alright, cool. So we're inbound here already now towards Ogimi, which is the intermediate fix, then we'll turn towards Menei, which is the final approach fix, and start our descent angle over there. So, reaching the decel point, flaps 1. Speed checked. And approach checklist, please. So, altimeter and instruments, cross checked, approach rates, checked set, approach checklist complete. And one last point, that's the courses 070. Flaps 5. Speed checked. Flaps 5. Alright, so I think that's our airport over there. The approach itself is a very interesting one for the simple reason that it first of all is spectacular in terms of the terrain, but secondly, final approach course offset by 15.2 degrees. That's the reason for the high minimum as well on this one. Okay, working with cold temperature corrections, we got Ogimi above 3,800, so let's actually set that. Not going to advise ATC of any of that, we'll simply be flying the approach now. So 5 miles is good, LNAV is good. Well then, that's it. So, due to the colder temperatures, we are going to arrive on a slightly steeper path than what we would normally expect, alt acquire. So, looking at the targeted ground speed and descent rate, 750 to 800. We'll be using 800 since we are going to be a little bit steeper than usual. Okay, cool, here we are. So then, the field is on the right, definitely somewhere over there. I think that one. We've done everything we needed to do. And next up we are going to descend to 3,000, from where we will start the approach itself. So progress page 4, because that one gives you the vertical deviation error, based on VNAV data, but nonetheless. Okay, set, 3,000 feet checked, vertical speed. Then runway heading 070 set. I created a waypoint 2 miles prior to Menei, which is where I want to be level, so that we can easily transition from altitude hold mode into vertical speed over at Menei when we start the final descent here. So, we've done everything that we could. Alt acquire. So, tower is going to be on 18.7. Alright, alt hold. Approaching descent. 2,100 feet set.
Alaska 7040, contact Juneau Tower on 118.7.
118.7, Alaska 7040. Juneau Tower, Alaska 7040, established on-off approach runway 08. So you can see with the MCP set to the lower altitude, vertical speed mode is on. So as soon as we're over at Manet, we'll...
7040 Juneau Tower, roger, continue approach runway 08.
Okay, so we simply set the vertical speed down to minus 1,000 once we're over at Manet, and then we'll intercept the vertical path. Here we go. So, 1,000 feet set. And we can already set the go-around altitude, which is 9,000 feet. And that's set and checked. Alright, looking good.
7040 Juneau Tower, wind 030 at 3, runway 8 cleared to land.
Runway 8, clear to land, Alaska 7040.
Alaska 7040, continue approach runway 8.
Yeah, whatever. Terrain just looks amazing, doesn't it? Okay. Minimum continue, and then gear down, flaps 15. Landing checklist down to flaps. That start switches continuous, and we are clear to land. Recall checked, speed brake on green light, landing gear down 3 green, auto brake 1 set. Alright, flaps 30. Speed check, flaps 30. Okay, so the 3-degree line is located right on the runway, that's good. But complete the landing checklist, so start switches continuous, recall check, speed brake arm green light, landing gear down 3 green, auto brake 1 set, flaps 30, 30 green light, and landing lights on, landing checklist complete. Okay. So, recycle the flight directors, please. And then we can turn final. So, the VASI shows us right on path. We might get some terrain warning here due to the hills. But we've got everything in sight, so we can continue this. The easy way to fly this is to simply keep the 3-degree line on the aiming point now, on the heads-up display, and then keep the flight path marker right on the 3-degree line. And that's about it. That's as easy as it is to fly this. Alright, the VASI is showing us a little high, correcting. Now the 3-degree line is on the aiming points again. So, Alaska doesn't have radio altimeter callouts as far as I'm aware. Nope, they don't. Alright. Speed brake up, thrust goes normal. .100 knots. .80 knots. All the taxiways are closed by NOTAM, so we gotta roll to the end anyway. 60 knots. Manual brakes. And here we are. Welcome to Alaska. Advanced caution engine. That's the reversal lights. Okay. Well, we do have maintenance here, so it's not going to be much of a problem to reset them. Okay. And vacating.
Alaska 7040, welcome to Juneau. Contact ground on 121.9er.
121.9er, Alaska 7040. Juneau ground, Alaska 7040. Request taxi to stand 14. I don't think we actually collected any ice.
Taxi to General Aviation Terminal stand 14 by Golf Alpha Bravo 2. Good day.
Golf Alpha Bravo 2 to stand 14, Alaska 7040. So, Golf Alpha Bravo stand 14. Okay, cool. Let's quickly clean the airplane up, and then we'll do the and we'll have a look at the taxi route in a few moments. So it doesn't look especially snowy over here, even though there are a couple of remains of snow. Yeah, I tell you what, we'll keep the anti-ice. The last guys equipped the 737 with automatic ignition, so we can just keep the start switches off anyway, and that's it then. Cool, so here we are. Absolutely beautiful approach, isn't it? I really like that one for the low-level maneuvering. The fact that you do not have a lot of aids for your approach, and generally it just is one of those things that I gotta say are very interesting to fly, let's put it that way. Now it would be fantastic if the simulator actually had proper snow on the ground here, because looking at the NOTAMs, like 2/3 of the taxiways are either closed or unusable because of braking action, because there is snow over snow, which has been sanded to make it somewhat usable, but looking into the sim over here, it's not really that much of a problem, is it? In any case, it was a very interesting one to fly, and, well, in the real world, due to the condition of the taxiways here, we'd probably be taxiing 5 to 10 knots maximum. But in the simulator, since we can see the braking action is good, not really necessary to do any of that. Now, let's see if we can get any GSX parking guidance. So, parking, stand 14, which is the cargo ramp. And then for our taxi route, so we're cleared via Alpha and, well, Bravo's not exactly correct. We'll go in via Charlie. The stand is over here. We don't really have any actual parking charts for the airport. I guess you could use the safe taxi chart. Then we're going over here. That's the cargo ramp. Okay, so over here the surfaces are actually looking clean, engine anti-ice off. I'm not going to do single engine taxi because of the reported braking action. The last thing I want is the airplane to start skidding sideways because we've got asymmetrical thrust. So then, Charlie is coming up, start APU. Down to 10 knots. Our ramp is over there. We can see the ground staff. What we cannot see just yet is a marshaller. Actually, I think there's one. Okay, taxi light off. The ground surfaces are actually looking okay over here. Yep, Marshall is inside. Looking good. And stop. 2 blue, 1 red, engines dead. Alright then, no cabin crew to disarm any doors over here. In that case, let's do the transit shutdown checklist. Which is electrical on APU, fasten belts off, propede auto, NES off, air conditioning, packs auto, engine bleeds on, APU bleed on, exterior lights. Well, both engines below 20 are steady and wheel well. Start switch is auto. Auto brake off. Speed brake down to 10. Flaps up and light. Parking brake set. Start levers cut off. Weather radar off. Transponder 2000 standby. CB in. Cockpit door unlocked. And that's our transit shutdown checklist complete. Cool. So let's go ahead and disarm the slides. And then we can go ahead and open up those doors. Unfortunately, we do not have an air stair on this airplane, but that's fine. So let's just make sure we don't fall out of the window. Well, out of the door. Cargo doors unlocking. Ready to open. Open. Cool. So with that, welcome to Juneau. I do hope you guys liked this one. Be sure to leave your feedback in the comments underneath the video. As always, like, comment and subscribe, and if you did like our ATC today, then do check out Say Intentions AI using the link in the video description below. Thank you very much for watching. As always, like, comment and subscribe, and if you really love what I'm doing on this channel, I would appreciate a small donation through the Buy Me Coffee link in the video description below. Thank you very much, and see you all again on the next one.